Alright guys, so Neverness to Everness is finally here out on PlayStation, PC, mobile, and I'm just having a wonderful time with it. So far I'm about 34 hours in, Hunter rank 24, and there's a lot to unpack with this game, just a lot. And guys, we're going to go ahead and get into it, but MMO fans, while this game is not an MMO, I think that there's a lot here that will appeal to you guys. Hoda Studio cooked. All right, they really cooked with this. And if you're an MMO person that likes, like single player based action RPGs with some light multiplayer elements, then you should definitely give this game a peek. But anyway, gamers and game nuts, what is going on? My name is Tanek027 and welcome back to another video. And guys, in today's video, I want to talk to you all about Neverness to Everness, aka NTE. However, if you want to stay updated on all things NTE, make sure you're liking today's video, subscribing to the channel if you are new, and let's go ahead and get on into today's topic. So, before we get into today's video, big shout out and special thank you to Hoda Studio for letting me be a part of their partner creator program and all that fun stuff. I don't know if you guys saw, but in a previous video I did tell you guys I've been beta testing and playing some developer builds here in the background. However, I did not play a ton of those builds because when I play betas and early builds of certain games and I go like ham on them, I tend to get burnt out really quickly. So I tend to do some light play in those builds and then go hard when the actual game releases, so that way I can get into it, make content for you guys and stuff like that at a pretty quick pace instead of, being burnt out because I've played through the content a billion times already. But Neverness to Everness, for those who don't know, first and foremost, this is not a GTA clone. All right? I keep hearing that GTA term being thrown around with this game and stuff like that. Let me tell y'all why and what that's all about. So people give it that GTA feel because you can drive around, you can get arrested, you can do those typical things that you can do in the free roam in GTA. But it is a urban, open world, and supernatural action RPG. The reason the GTA feel is there is because instead of being, in the typical fantasy setting that a lot of RPGs tend to use, this is an urban game. It takes place, in a big city, lots of tall buildings and stuff like that. So naturally, there's a lot of cars, people around, police, and all that stuff. But at its heart, it's an RPG. There are some elements that are similar to GTA. There are some things you can do that are like in GTA, but this is in no means a GTA style game. So if you come in here expecting GTA, you're going to be disappointed. Don't let that word fool you. It's an RPG, up and down, left and right. The first big thing I love about Neverness to Everness is the customization with the different characters that you have. And let me go ahead and explain that. So how guys, with most gacha games, the build variety is there, but it's not too crazy. You'll get like a character that has like a certain element or play style to it. There's a certain, like weapon or piece of equipment you can roll on that goes with that character. And then there's a few customizable stats you can do, but that's mostly it. They're stuck in that, in that role and stuff like that. You can make pretty good builds, but they're not always too crazy. In this game, they tend to switch that formula up a lot. Like, you can change up the different stats when you awaken your characters and get duplicate copies of them. You can do different builds with the things called consoles, using different pieces to add different stats. Like, you can completely change the stats in almost the way a character is meant to be used in this game by its build system, and that I definitely appreciate. While you can't change the element type or anything that the character is, or like the weapon that they're using and stuff like that, you can definitely take a character that's built to be more of like a defensive style character and focus more on damage and make them something that's based on offense. You can take someone that's support and make them more specialized in defense or offense, however you want to do it. This game gives you those options, and I absolutely love that. Another thing I love about this game is it's probably one of the most optimized Unreal Engine 5 games I have seen next to Fortnite. I'm honestly starting to think that Unreal Engine 5 specializes more so in anime and cartoony style graphics rather than realistic games. Because as you guys know, whenever realistic looking Unreal Engine 5 games come out, they're always terribly optimized. But this runs and looks great even on console. Like the gameplay you guys are seeing right now, this is PlayStation 5 gameplay, not PlayStation 5 Pro, a regular simple PS5 Slim, and it looks and runs this good. And this is with YouTube compression, so it looks even better. Just ask anybody who has a base PS5 playing this. they'll tell you it looks phenomenal on console. Now this game's a ton of fun. There's so many different things to do in here and stuff like that. The combat styles, the different weekly and and daily questing you can do, the multiplayer boss fights and dungeons and stuff like that. That's a lot of things that I think will appeal to a lot of you MMO guys out there. Because Hoda Studio, the people that made Tower of Fantasy, they definitely kept Endgame and a lot of that stuff in mind, and I can tell. And a lot of this stuff you can access early in the game. Like, as I told you guys, I'm 34 hours in, Hunter level 24. I am not Endgame yet, but there's a lot of Endgame style activities I can do, like 4-player boss fights. They're like raid style fights with different mechanics and things like that. There's different little dungeons I can do. There's weekly and daily questing things I can do and all that fun stuff. But overall, I do feel like the multiplayer in this game needs work, and that's the one thing that really does annoy me about this game, because while those options are there, you can't really do much. Like, for example, if you invite your friends into the multiplayer world, you can't get a warrant for your arrest. You can't engage really in like any of the activities besides these few end game ones that they give you that they allow multiplayer with. I feel like if they're going to give you the option to do open world multiplayer, open up some of the open world stuff. And I feel like, because the game has caps, you do need to raise your hunter level and all of those fun things. I feel like, if they added more activities to do in the open world multiplayer and just, more things for multiplayer in general, you could give more players more ways, to farm XP, so that way they won't find these caps so annoying. And that's another thing that does bother me, but at the same time, with the, the reputation that some live service games are starting to get and things like that, I'm starting to think caps are kind of smart, because one thing that happens when when these games don't have caps is people rush right to the end game, they get bored, they cry there's nothing to do, and then it looks like the developers are just releasing content very slowly, and then the game dies and yada yada yada. So I don't know, maybe caps are saving us in the long run. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. Just with the kind of rep that some of these games that last for years and stuff like that are starting to get, I feel like caps may not be such a bad thing anymore. I don't know. But also another thing too. I know I was just jumping from topic to topic here, but guys, there's just so much to talk about with this game. Is they incorporated things like life skills, player housing. You can buy your own apartment. You can own businesses. There are you can take advantage of those to to make money and stuff like that. And the monetization in this game is so fair. But like I was saying before, there's life skills. You can fish. You can like I was saying, own a business. You can get a house. You can invite your other characters to that house, and put them in cool outfits, interact with them, get a bond. You can date your characters. There's so much stuff in here that's usually the kind of things you want in an MMO, or that come into an MMO later. Like, you can date your characters. There's a dating system in here now. Player housing is all in here now, and it's not post-launch content. This is all stuff that's here at launch. And like, for example, like I was saying before, whenever an MMO comes out, a lot of these things are missing. And these guys' previous game was an MMO, but they put all these features in here at launch and said, hey, new content's coming. There's already talks about version 1.1, the new characters we're going to be getting, the new stuff they're adding and stuff like that. It's insane. And the next character banners are already planned out. I think they launched literally within like a week or so. I don't know, guys. They're doing a really good job with this game. And like I said, my main complaint right now is just the limits on multiplayer. I just feel like multiplayer needs to open up a bit and just add more things to do with your friends. I feel like the open world multiplayer is kind of stale, and I just feel like there's a limit on the activities that you can do. Especially since like the weekly boss fights and stuff, they have limits. Of course, bound to like the energy style currencies and stuff like that. But guys, this world is just it's so expansive. And one thing I haven't been able to say so far, my 34 hours into the game, is I can't find something to do. There is always something to do in this game, whether it's a boss to fight, a race to go do, a delivery to go make, something to manage in my house, or just anything. Guys, Neverness to Everness so far has been an awesome time. The gacha's even fair in here too. I mean, it's not perfect, but like, there's no 50-50. You can go straight for what you want, and the system's just awesome. But like I was saying, You know, if you've been skeptical about gacha games and, you know, you've been wanting to get into them, but you just don't know, the monetization scares you or something like that, this is definitely one of those games that you should probably take the risk on and give it a shot. It's free to play, so in the end, what do you got to lose? But anyway, guys, like I said, let me know what y'all think down in the comments below, and I will see y'all in the next video. Y'all enjoyed today's video? Smash that like. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out. Have a good one.
Filling the lungs inside you, and the blackened eyes.